I used to love Halloween. I loved going door to door, collecting candy that I never ended up finishing, and my favorite part of it all was dressing up as my favorite character. For me, the scariest part about Halloween wasn't the ghosts, or the skeletons, or the clowns at all. The scariest part about Halloween was people not recognizing who I was dressed up as on Halloween because I didn't exactly look like the character. Now, my Halloween costume not being recognized might not seem like that big of a deal, and honestly, it isn't. But that small problem is part of a much larger issue. The larger issue being that people like me, the minority, the people of color, the LGBTQ folks, the disabled people, are being marginalized and underrepresented, especially when it comes to cinema. Proper representation in media is needed because of the influence the media has on how we view and treat others, and because of the influence it has on how we view and understand the world around us as well. Targets are being put on the backs of my friends and my communities for their religion, for their sexuality, for the color of their skin. And by creating films with diversity, we have the power to change that. I grew up in a neighborhood where I was usually the only Asian kid in my class. At first, I didn't see myself any differently compared to the kids around me. But as I started to grow older, I started to see that I was different. My food, my culture, the color of my skin, the color of my hair, something about me was slightly different, and I didn't exactly fit in, and I hated it. It was around the same time that I started to notice that when someone did finally look like me on TV or in the advertisements or in books, there were always the sushi chefs, which I'm not, the karate masters, which I'm not, or the math geniuses, which I'm not. Where were the strong Asian characters that I could look up to and dress up as on Halloween without fearing that no one would recognize my costume? To answer the question that my younger self was wondering, that type of representation simply didn't exist. From a study conducted by the University of Southern California, Annenberg School of Communication and Journalism, they found that even from the top 100 films of 2016, only 34 films had a female lead. Of those 34 films, only 3 actresses were of an underrepresented ethnic or racial minority. In addition to the lack of people of color in prominent roles and the lack of women in lead roles, they found that of the few films that included LGBTQ representation, most of it were of gay men, with no transgender representation at all in the same top 100 films of 2016. Representation is needed because, for some people, the only way that they feel validated or safe is when they see a reflection of themselves in the shows or in the movies that they watch. Oscar Wilde said that life imitates art far more than art imitates life. For example, why is it that Black people in films are most commonly associated with drugs, crimes, and poverty, and that they happen to be the #1 victims of police brutality? To me, that doesn't seem like a coincidence. For young children, teenagers, and adults, seeing a positive reflection of themselves after years of seeing negative ones can become a beacon of hope. By seeing a character who looks like them, who acts like them, or someone who shares their struggles, it can send them a message saying that they are not alone in this world and that there are many people who are going through the same thing as they are. For me, that cathartic experience came at 13 when I saw Dr. Christina Yang, portrayed by Sandra Oh in Shonda Rhimes' Grey's Anatomy. It was the first time that I saw a character that looked like me in a popular show that I watched. The thing is, Dr. Christina Yang wasn't your typical Asian character. She wasn't the nerd or the token Asian friend. She was smart, witty, but also flawed and vulnerable. But most importantly, she was Asian. As a young girl who was just entering her awkward teenage years, seeing a reflection of myself, someone that I could relate to, in a popular show was life-changing. The lack of representation is partially due to the casting choices made by film directors and production companies. Blackface and yellowface may be a thing of the past, but today, tone-deaf casting would be the modern equivalent. The most famous example of yellowface would be Mickey Rooney in the film Breakfast at Tiffany's. Mickey Rooney, a white actor, played the role of a cranky Japanese landlord in the film. The modern example would be the 2017 release of Ghost in the Shell starring Scarlett Johansson. But this time, the public reacted. Outrage was sparked due to the fact that Scarlett Johansson, a white actress, was casted to play the lead role of Motoko Kusanagi, a Japanese character in a Japanese film, but that film only casted 2 Japanese actresses to play roles of a human being, the rest being robots. Just look at Ali Carvalho in Moana, Kelly Marie Tran in the latest Star Wars film, and the magic that Black Panther created. Casting actors of color in lead roles may have been a risk in the past, but time is up for that excuse. It's 2018. As a woman of color, I'm still severely underrepresented in Hollywood when I come on screen and behind the screens. For a while, I thought that my dreams of becoming a filmmaker were unrealistic, simply because I didn't see anyone who looked like me finding success in that field. But after witnessing Ava DuVernay, Barry Jenkins, and Ang Lee tell the stories of their communities and finding success and praise from the film community, I started believing that one day that could be me too. I will one day create the films that I needed when I was younger, create films with representation, and most importantly, I will one day create films that will challenge, educate, and inspire everyone around me. Thank you.